Hey guys, Blonde Ass or Toxic here, and today's video is going to be another requested video. It's honestly going to be a very different video. It's literally kind of just going to be like a list and an explanation, and it's just going to be the Nat 4 stars that I think are worth gleaming. I'm going to go from elements from left to right, and we're just going to go from there. Now, this is assuming you have no Nat 5s gleam, as Nat 5s are almost always going to be more efficient than Nat 4s to gleam. So yeah. I'm actually just going to start off right now. We're going to start with Thors. I think Thors, not just Fire Thor, but any Thors are definitely worth gleaming just because you have to sacrifice 3 Nat 4, sorry, for to actually get 1 Thor. And I think that 1 gleam is worth definitely 3 Nat 4s. So I think that if you're trying to gleam a Thor, it definitely has its uses for sure. The second things that I think are worth gleaming are, sorry. Vampire, I think Vampire is worth gleaming. Fire Vampire only, actually, because it actually really helps with B7 progression. I think Fire Vampire can actually, like, solo B7? I'd say, yeah, I'm pretty sure Fire Vampire can solo B7, and that can really, really help with progression. And I think it's just overall a solid monster. Like, I use mine quite a bit. The only problem is it's a little bit hard to gem, but after you progress through the game, because of Fire Vampire, you can also gem it a lot easier. The next thing is Leo, and this goes for all Leos. And that is simply because there are so many good Leos. Light Leo, Dark Leo, Fire Leo, Wood Leo, even Water Leo to an extent are all very, very strong. So I think that Gleaming Leos is a good choice only because there's so many Leos that you can actually go for. Even having like 2 Fire Leos isn't a bad thing. And because there's so many of them that you can go for, I think that using Gleams to get more of them so you can Evo 3 more of them is definitely a solid choice. Number 3 is, I would say, or is this number 4? This might be number 4. I'd say I'd say Fire Cupid is a solid choice to gleam, and that's just because of, you really want healers. Healers are such an important part of the game, just to pass content, that I think it's like a really, really strong choice, basically just because of its attack up and attack down. I think Fire Cupid is probably the strongest fire healer in the game, and on that front, I think that it's very worth using gleams for. I guess the next one would be Fire Wild Fang, just because I think that it's the same reason as Vampire pretty much. It helps a lot with progression just because of the heals and stuff like that. It can also solo B9. She's literally called the queen of the queen of 1v4ing or whatever. Actually, that might be Wood Valkyrie. She's kind of the queen of 1v4ing against golems and stuff like that. I know she can definitely solo golems B9, so that just helps a lot with progression. Moving on to water monsters, we're going to be talking about, once again, as I already said, Thor is definitely worth it. However, going further, I think that Water Loki is worth it, simply because there are so little water attackers that Water Loki is probably one of the strongest, and having a water attacker is really, really, not necessarily super incredibly important to progression in the game, but it's definitely very, very, very useful. So I would definitely recommend that. Moving on, I would say, if you're focused on PvP, Water Sewer is a great option just because he's really, really good in like lower levels of PvP with his 2-turn stun. And I think that can really help out newer players. Also because his active is, I think, very, very underrated. When it crits, it actually can do like quite a bit of damage. Like it does like 20k to my Water Ender or to my Fire Ender or something like that. So it's definitely a very strong monster and can help with a lot in PvP. And like he's like. When I say a lot, I mean PvP defense and offense, especially at like lower ranks when things don't have like insanely high resistance. Next up is going to be, Water Cura. Water Cura is the same reason as Fire Cupid. It's pretty much just an OP healer, especially because it's so consistent. And gleaming healers, in my opinion, is never wrong because you definitely need healers to pass later game content. Moving on to wood monsters now. The first wood monster I would say is probably good for Evo 3ing. With Gleams is going to be actually, where is he? Wood Leo. Wood Leo just because of the same reason as Fire Leo. So incredibly strong, probably the best Nat 4 in the game. And, I mean, I don't really know what else to say for Wood Leo. Like, he's just so incredibly OP because of his utility. The next monster is actually going to be Wood Banshee. Wood Banshee is super incredibly strong. A lot of it's because of her leader skill, but she also has that SP Siphon and the AoE defense down, plus she has really, really nice stats. Wood Banshee just kind of like a very stable and overall decent monster for all of the content, pretty much. And that's what puts her on the list for monsters that I would gleam. I actually think I did use a gleam on my Wood Banshee as well. Lastly is Wood Hannah. Wood Hannah, again, pretty much the same thing as Water Cura and Fire Cupid. She's pretty much just a solid healer, and healers are so important to the game right now and progressing. That it's just it's a solid use of a thing, and I used a bunch of gleams on my light Hannah actually, which I mean is questionable, but I didn't think I was gonna spend. Long story short, I didn't think I was gonna spend any money, and then I did, and then I almost have 3 of 3 Hannahs instead of 2. Anyways, yeah, Wood Hannah would definitely be a solid thing to gleam if you don't have any Nat 5s gleam for sure. And yeah, moving on to light monsters. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, but I'd say, I would say, I'm having trouble deciding between Venus and not, because I feel like Venus definitely has like potential, but at the same time, I honestly don't think she's worth gleaming, to be honest. I would say that. Oh, sorry, my throat is so like, oh my god, right now. I've literally recorded like 12 videos in a row, so my throat's a little bit off. I'll say that out of the light monsters, Light Nike is definitely one that is worth Evo 3ing. Although, honestly, it depends. If you're worth putting the work in for fusion, then probably not. But then probably not, because you can just get free water Victorias. But if you're not willing to put in all that work, then I'd say Light Nike is a great thing to use gleams on. Secondly, Light Hannah. Light Hannah, obviously, kind of like for the same reason as Wood Hannah. It's just a nice shielder, and it actually has that HP aggression and the HP shield, which is kind of like Dark Cupid, which makes it really sick for all that content. And it makes it just an overall really solid monster that's not only a healer, but also a damage dealer. Next up would be actually the Light Vampire. Light Vampire, it's very reminiscent of Fire Succubus, which I did not include only because there were so many fire attackers otherwise that were good. But for light attackers, I think this is a great choice. A lot of it's just due to its not only like self-sustain, but also its utility in the defense down, which can make it good for PvP and dungeons. Moving on to dark monsters, I guess I'll start with sorry, Dark Venus. I think Dark Venus is just an upgraded version of Fire Cupid, which makes it definitely worth the Evo 3. Really enjoy this monster. I haven't actually trained mine yet, but you know, I've seen it in action. I think it's very good. Next up would have to be what's it called? Where is he? Oh no. Dark Gatito. Dark Gatito. I mean, I know a lot of people probably already have him gleamed by now, if you were going to, but I mean, what else is there to say? This guy's the strongest. This guy's like the strongest attacker. Also, fun fact: I'm pretty sure this guy's based off Zorro, just based on his little 3-star icon, Zorro. If you guys haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie. I would recommend seeing it. Next up is Dark Sura. Again, just a great dark attacker. Nothing else really to say about this guy. You know, he's just such a great dark attacker. He's almost the same thing as Dark Gatito, honestly. Is he? Hunter and Morale Boost? Morale Boost? Oh, that's HP. Never mind. Kind of close, though. Pretty good. Anyways, moving on to next one is Dark Leo. Dark Leo, he's a great monster for Titans. He's a great monster in general as well, even for PvP. Just based on his stats and leader skill. Yeah, I would gleam him. Again, same thing as the Y for Fire and Wood. There's so many Leos that are good. Also, I forgot to include Light Leo, but Light Leo too, guys. Yeah, just so many Leos that are good. That's pretty much it. Next up is going to be Dark Cupid. Dark Cupid, basically just because of, again, same thing as Light Hannah. Great healer. Aggressor plus a shield plus a healer, which means it's damage and heals. Makes it really strong. Probably the best healer in the game. Just in overall content. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much been it. It's basically just kind of just a listing video, but I got requested to me, and I always like to keep the requested videos coming up, especially like if it'll help people out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.